2, right? If I'm gonna go to the airlock, it actually goes over.
There's damage.
Hello everyone, this is TTR, and we're back in Venus. And I did a little bit of camera modification to the base, a tiny one, just to accelerate something. So you might notice I just put a light in the, in the first room, or lights. One thing we're gonna do it, we're gonna automate them to turn off when I'm not in the room. Sorry. And there's this way to do it, right? You require a sensor and two logical IOs, right? So first we're gonna put sensor somewhere, and we're gonna use the occupation sensor, right? Occupation sensor pretty much works very good internally. What it does is if there is anyone or within the room, so room is defined, you can check actually, in your atmospheric tablet, it's the ID over here. So this pretty much will cover all of the room, even if the room will be, quite big, or it had like, some walls inside, that it's gonna see you or not, if you are within the room, right? That's one thing. And another thing what we're gonna use is a logic reader to read state of that sensor. I'm just gonna place it here on the ceiling, and batch writer. It's because we'll be writing in the batches to all the lights on the line, right? So cabling this one quickly together. So we have this connected. We could name them, and probably should, especially like if you have multiple logics and so on, but I'm not gonna do it. I'm just gonna go and set up. So logic reader, we want to read the occupancy sensor, so we're gonna just find it. And what we're gonna read is activate or quantity. So if there will be two or more, you can actually, also have it how many people there are, or I think it's calculating, people. But activate, it's actually what you want. Activate means that there is someone, right? If I'm gonna go in the different room, like the airlock, it's gonna switch to 0. So this will now show status 1, and what we're gonna do in batch writer, we're gonna set that logic reader. You cannot directly set the occupancy sensor, right? So if you could, if there would be like combo of logic reader to batch writer or whatever, that would be only one logic circuit, but it's absolutely fine, right? And out type, we're gonna find our lights. Now, keep in mind, round light and let's say like a long light are different items. So we need to have, if you're mixing lights, you will need to have multiple batch writers, each writer for each type of the device. So light is not as a generic, you actually have a type of a light, right? And for variable, we're gonna go on, and we're gonna turn this on, right? So now if I'm gonna go to airlock, which is a different room, right? This is defined as room 2. I'm gonna go over here, the lights are gone. I'm gonna enter it, they turn back on. And there you go. That's the pretty much easiest way to automate your lights, when are in and out. And if I want to add additional light, I'm just gonna like pull cable over here and put maybe another light over here, and they will be working fine without any problems. Now, that's fine. We require kit padded wall because they are rated 300 kPa, right? So the difference is, iron wall are 200 kPa and same as the standard wall, but they're being manufactured from different components, right? The iron wall, it's made from iron, and then you use iron sheet and glass sheet to fill up for window, right? The normal wall you build from steel, but you do a plastic uh, to fill it, and then glass sheet. Padded wall, you actually require steel, so those will be gone because they are not the one I wanted. That's fine. I'm gonna quickly print the one I want. About Let me think. Let's do 16. That will be definitely more than I need to. The reason is obviously the atmosphere in Venus is what is it? We can check in this pipe. 240 kilopascals. So we need 300 kPa rating if we want to have um, vacuum inside. Now we will not really have a vacuum per se in that room for a long time, but there will be at the beginning, right? So technically, if you don't want to go with the paddle walls, you want to go with iron walls or standard walls. The way I will be building the second room, or when I would be building the room, I wouldn't actually vacuum it. I actually will keep the Venus pressure and filter out the pollutants while constantly apply, put new CO2 inside because this is what we're needing. And when I lower pressure, constant will be, bring it up. So the difference between the outer and inner layer of the window and the walls, therefore the Vino atmosphere and the room, it cannot cross the 200 kPa. It's a bit of problematic actually to do it, right? So much simpler solution, and instead of using plastic sheets, you can use steel sheets, is to build the padded wall. Um, excuse me. And for those, we will need to have iron sheets. This is the last one. Sorry, steel sheets. Get a feeling like it will be some jittering. Okay, another change I did is in the solar room. So it's not a big one. I just add those two missing solar panels up here, and I put the cabling for another row. So you can see now maybe more clearly. This is the blue power cable. This is the red data cable. That's in every other row, and it's the same network as those solar panels. And green and white, they done very similarly and so on. This already survived, I think, two storms. I don't know if it's the bug in current version of the game, but usually what's happening, it actually was having a weather event just after save load in the early morning, almost without notice, but this works fine. It actually prevented, right? Now, the third thing I did, this is currently turned off, I put the third row of the ACs. Now, I was thinking, do I want to or not? And I do, just to show the one-way valve, what I was explaining earlier on, that this segment and this segment will be having the same pressure, but much different temperature and much higher molar value. This is not connected for time being. That's because I'll be actually working on this one. So today we'll be actually finishing this room and adding a little bit of cooling system. Now I need to remove part of this pipe because I put it in the wrong place. It shouldn't be on this edge. It should be actually somewhere in the middle, right? One thing I temporarily put walls into solar room above those two frames is just in case now weather storm came along and I'm working here, and if it would decide to close the door, it will be still open to the environment, to the world. I just didn't want to quickly fix it and so on. But the reason we are opening those two frames is we'll be actually adding two cooling pretty much loops, right? So one of them, this one, will be pretty much for cooling atmosphere here in this room. This atmosphere will be pretty much constantly rising temperature due to the fact that there will be plants over here. They release, a little bit of a thermal energy, but also the CO2 supply in that room will be from the external atmosphere. It will be constantly, rising temperature. Obviously, a little bit of solar radiation that also will be affecting it, right? So we will need to constantly cool it, right? Slowly but surely, right? And the way we're gonna do it is using the direct heat exchanger. Now, if you never use them, they have two inputs, right? They don't mix the gases, and there is a version of gas liquid, 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 and gas gas. We're gonna use gas gas, right? They just balance the equalize temperature that is actually within them, and we're gonna add them into this frame. I don't know if they need to be put into frame. I'm putting them always in locket like this. So you have this pipe above the edge, and then there's one break, and there will be over here another one. We're gonna do the same thing in this, right? And that's fine, right? Now I'm gonna remove that pipes that are not here, not needed, because they should go above that heat exchange. Well, not intended to do that one. It's moved now, as you can see it. Now we're gonna have this pipe on the bottom going to whatever we want to call it. So I'm just gonna pretty much go pull them like downwards or downwards. Yeah, angled down, right? And this one will be a little bit different, right? The one over here. So what I'm gonna put here is a T-junction that it's sort of a parallel to the pipe above, right? On both, actually, we're gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna be missing pipes, so we're gonna cover that one in a second. Now, that's it. That's actually what I need to do. I'm gonna now weld those frames back up. All of them, even the one that I didn't intend to open. And we're gonna go and now add two things. On one side, we're gonna add a volume pump. Gonna add this direction so I can have a cable connection coming from downwards, so from the room. And oops, that's wrong facing, although we don't need to have access to it, but it's nice to have. So actually this way it's supposed to be, right? I cannot see it. Right. There we go. And there is another one, right? So this volume pump will be pretty much putting a pressure into it, and then what next? Well, there's one with valves that we're gonna utilize. That, again, I don't like them not being really visible. But yeah. There we go. So as we have this, we have a pretty much volume pump that will be pushing, you know, the materials, the atmospherics into this T-junction, and then pressure-based it will be, you know, ejected, right? And what we need is effectively connect those to our coolant pipe. So like this, obviously we are not having enough pipes to do it, but I'm gonna temporarily just create one. Right, so the second one I'm gonna finish later on, but just to give you what this will be doing. So this is our, you know, cold nitrogen line, right? And it's, you know, pretty much going over here, and this is our cooling system. What will be happening if there will be a sensor, pretty much as a sensor in this room, and depends on the temperature, the setting on this pipe will be increasing or decreasing, and it will be pushing a cold nitrogen through this heat exchanger that we have inside the frame. When the pressure will be obviously higher than the pressure in the pipe, it's going to be evicted back to the pipe with the thermal energy, and obviously the ACs over there will be cooling down this pipe as needed. The air from the room will be connected, you know, from here through the vents and so on and so forth to this pipe on the bottom. This one will be built the same, but it won't be for the air in the room. It will be for oxygen that will be storing over here in the tank. The reason this is set up this way and not any other way, this is the most efficient and most safest one, right? If we did, for instance, pipe, if we, for example, were using this system to push air from the room through this heat exchanger, right, and cool down passively through to the exchanger that is inside the frame, it's actually very, very slow, right? If we just, connect somehow directly to this hold nitrogen, also that's another thing, the air and CO2 inside the pipe that will be, cooling, without any limitations on the heat exchanger will be liquefying or even, freezing and bursting pipes, aka what I had in the situation this previously. I actually, instead of building this way, that there is this cold air going through the exchanger and then, reflectively cooling down whatever I want, I put the other way around. I push the, my oxygen supply through the exchanger, and then whatever was left in the exchanger was actually, solidifying and blowing up, right? This part of the pipe was blowing up. I did also something different. I actually paired them. So you could do something like, I'm gonna pair my just cold nitrogen with whatever I have and just let it be. That's even worse, right? Either way, this is actually the most efficient way and most safer way, because what's happened is this segment will be matching, this T junction will be matching temperature of whatever you have over here. That's nitrogen. The worst it can happen, it will be expanding and heating, like as mad, but this one with valve just gonna eject it. So it's not gonna burst. It's not gonna, liquefy or solidify, because this won't be actually liquid. It will be gas, right? Now, the AC. So I add the third row, and pretty much the one-way valve will be balancing the pressure on it. So the input pipe, it's almost 2 megapascals. This one is slightly lower because the temperature constantly drops and the one-way valve slowly pushes into it, but you can see the temperature over here is 475. It's slightly higher than the temperature of Venus because it needs to radiate it. Over time, I'm gonna add a little bit more radiators so it will balance, but that's not the problem. What we have over here, it's 240, so decent drop of, wait, 200 degrees. Wow. Here is 20, something. This actually I'm gonna settle on minus 50 when, the pressure stabilize. And here we have minus 102. This actually, if I'm gonna let it run as it is, gonna go below condensation point, right? I'm gonna pause for a second. Much. Not nitrogen, right? So we're gonna use Celsius. Um, if you really don't know how to read this, right, this line it pretty much tells you when it's always will be solid material, right? So this is solid, this is liquid, this is gas. Actually, they add those recently. I think they weren't, so it's more self-explanatory. But pretty much this is correlation of gas versus liquid state based on the temperature and the pressure, right? We're gonna have there a little bit above 2 megapascals of pressure, so you can see temperature of 119, 120 centigrades is will be when it will be liquefying. If the pressure is lower, I can go to lower temperature, right? But it's a little bit, pointless. 70 kPa, keeping that pressure, it's working with something like this is problematic, right? So dropping below that temperature, it will cause liquid to be occurring in this pipe, and it's gonna go that low, right? Now the pressure is a little bit lower, so it's actually can, keep it up. We're gonna later on obviously connect those two pipes, so it will be still balancing later on. But what I'm gonna actually add, I'm gonna add later additional IC chip that will be reading from, turn it off, from this AC, the last AC, what is temperature in this pipe, because we'll be able to actually use it. So we don't need additional pipe analyzer. They are our pipe analyzers per se, right? And while we'll be doing it, if we're gonna see the temperature going below 110, I'm gonna pretty much shut down all of those ACs. Now, I'm gonna leverage a little bit functionality in a code that is in AC code from Elmo, When you open it, it's gonna pause directly, the AC and its related pump. So effectively, the tiny code I'm gonna put later on over here will be if the temperature is below this, pretty much set all of them to open, and they're gonna trigger, their, pause code or shutdown code, right? Then if the temperature rise above, let's say -60, turn them on and keep cooling. This way, this will be pretty much stopping and starting on demand, A, saving power, and B, avoiding this condensate, right? Now, the other alternative is to have here a eviction pipe that change from a gas to the liquid and have a liquid pipe connecting to maybe this segment or this segment. Don't connect over here, you're gonna lose all the thermal that you have it. If you're gonna push it, that's a little bit of a very chilled nitrogen, liquid nitrogen is gonna actually be injected in this pipe, cooling it down, but then evaporating and recycling. The downside of it is this will never settle, so this will be constantly taking power. Now, for time being, I'm just gonna shut this down manually, and we're gonna go deal with few other missing bits and bobs, like pipes and that code that we do. So let's just write the IC code to control those AC units and just shut down when we need it, right? Now, I'll be using set reset latch Schmidt trigger. Pretty much, I think it's the other name, but it's effectively a piece of logic that does not constantly switch, the state like on off or operational operational based on single point, but based on a threshold, right? It's commonly used in real world. Like if you set, cooldown if the temperature is above, sorry, it's above, let's say minus, 10 degrees. Then effectively every time it just cools by half a degree or 1/10 of a degree, the machine will be shutting down. If using SR latch, you actually have more gradual control because you set start cooling from -10 and keep cooling till -100, for example, right? The basic, the most base SR latches, for draining or sorry, or for uh, topping up, sort of speak, so going up or going down, it's this is part of a MIPSL code, right? You have your base number, which is, let's say, it's where the trigger needs to be started. So if you're going up, let's say if you have this as a 10, if you'll be having anything below 10, you actually gonna trigger this one. And the diff is, what is the difference? So let's say we go on to add something between 10 and 12. So we start adding at when we go below 10, would be pushing up to 12. So this will be our number 10, and this will be 2, right? So what it means is if we are on the value of a sensor 14, this will return 0. If it drops to 13, it's still 0. It drops to 12, still 0. 11, still 0. Drops 10 and below, it triggers that the sensor is 1, but then it's now rising, and it's 11 still is 1, 12, oh, I need to turn off, and that's it, right? So it doesn't just flip this on off state and so on. Obviously, if it's outside these ranges, the range below 10 means that I need to turn on, but range above 12 in this example will be I need to be turned off, right? Similarly is the SR down. It's again your base and a diff. So if this will be 10 and this will be 2, that means that we starting, when we are 10 and above, and we continue do our work when we're gonna drop to 8 and below. So that's the concept, right? I'm gonna be doing here, the situation when I want to turn it on when we are, let's say, on -20 and above, right? And I continue this work when we are on -100 and below, right? So effectively, I'm looking for something that will be pushing it down. So it's the second part of the code I had, and we're just gonna whoop. Um, yeah. Do not do Control V as a paste. Let me just clear it and paste it as it is. Right. So we're looking for this one, right? So we planning to do this, when we are, let's say, whoops, can I type it? Yes. when we are minus 10 and going to minus hundreds, right? Let's just keep it this way. We can extend this later on, right? Actually, can we confirm this one for a second? Pause this. This is actually what we want to look, right? We now will be looking Kelvin because we need to code in Kelvin. So we remember this was like 2.2. Let's just look 2.5 for safety. So minus 16 is where it starts, liquefying, right? Minus 20, minus 16. Where is minus 10? 3 megapascals. That's decent amount of wiggle room because we know we're keeping it around 2. So yeah, minus 110 Celsius is the lower threshold we want to shut it down, right? So was around 3 megapascals, so it's 164. Now you can just do minus 273, the difference between them. But this is what we're gonna look, right? So we'll be looking in about 170 Kelvin, and above, right? So 170 Kelvin is our lower threshold that we want to, turn it off. We're gonna operate within maybe 70-degree, right? So we're gonna do edit, we're gonna pause it. So we actually are gonna do this different. We're gonna do lower threshold is minus 70 and upper threshold will be, sorry, it's not minus 70. Let's just put it, this is Kelvin, and upper threshold, let's say it's 260. 273 is 0 centigrade, so that should be, way enough. Well, let's just maybe do 250. The reason is 250, I will be cooling oxygen. This actually, it's something I need to have in mind. What is the maximum temperature that I will have on that pipe? I could go even smaller range and it makes more sense. So I could go this, let's say maybe 220 to 30. Let's just leave it, to 30. That's 60 degrees, difference. So we're gonna do the fine. And we're gonna name this pretty much base, and our base is, because we're going down, it's the 230, and our diff, it's 230 minus 170, so it's 60 degrees, right? So we have those, right? Now the typical is just start. We're gonna read the sensor later on, and so we will be in a loop, right? So one thing is we also need to have our sensor, and our sensor will be on one of the screws. So the 0, and it's the AC. Actually, it's the other way around, right? So our AC is on it, right? So for sensor, because this is what we called, we gonna actually have our R0. Now you could create aliases for A, B, BA, and so on, but I'm gonna name them directly to the values. But we're gonna load our sensor from AC, and it's right. We want to load temperature out from AC to our sensor. Now, if you don't know where to find those, you pretty much look for your device. Mm, I don't know if it's AC or air conditioner or whatever. I just want to get atmospherics kit air conditioner. So this is the device will be actually reading it. And you have the logics over here. So what we're looking is temperature output. If you have the waste pipe, so you have your input, which is on the back, like let's say, when you're looking for on the front panel, there's your input, the output is over here. So what do you want to cool? the cooled product, and the waste, it's actually called output 2, just if you need, right? So this is how you can read, all of those. Let's go back to our code, pause it, right? So we'll be having our temperature in our sensor. So this is what we want to do. Those A and B needs to be unused, and do not use them anywhere. Like, do not reset them, do not override them anywhere. Additional memory banks. So it will be pretty much an R1, right? And this will be R2. That's R1, sorry, and that's R2. Hey, type R2, right? So AAB, BAA, right? So it's 112, 211, top to bottom, right? And this pretty much fell out. The R2 is what is telling our state. So it's effectively store batch, device hash, logic type, and what we need. So I'm going to put 2 dots and the R2 right now. Just confirm this one, go back to the AC because we're looking for all the AC conditioners. So this is our prefab. I'm going to pause it. So it's the first parameter we need for write batch. And the second is what we want to do. Like I mentioned, the Elmo code for AC, when you open the case for the IC chip, it pauses, right? So we literally want to go with the open. Now, open is funny because open 0 means closed, and open 1 is, sorry, and 1 is open, right? But what we have over here is the other way around. So let me just quickly maybe explain this one to you. Pause it, right? So we want to put this. Please don't confirm. Edit, right? Paste gonna delete everything what you have on the screen. Since we have only one, kind of item, not multiple lines, we can just use Control V and open, right? So we want to write to all of the ACs open this value, but this is actually, this gonna tell store R1 or set R2 as 1 if we want to have this working. So this is gonna open it and pause it. So this is in reverse, right? So you could pretty much go and do two things. You could go multiplication and then add absolute or whatever, or it was added at some time, in MIPS, I think, a year ago. This. Not. Effectively, it's gonna do a logical bit flip of it. So if it was 0, it becomes 1. If it was 1, it becomes 0, right? So this is what we need. I'm gonna actually put them closer together. There is limit of lines, but not really too important. And that's it. That's the whole code, right? What it actually gonna, sorry, that's the whole code. What it's gonna tell is if the temperature is 230 Kelvin, start cooling down till it's gonna go by 60 degrees, so 170 Kelvin, and then turn it off, right? And we need to bit flip the R2 value because we want to have this as a 0 when this needs to be operating, while this returns 1. Oh, by the way, so we are like on day 14, 15, something like this, right? And I was dumping my tank, including even now. I'm gonna do it in this room, and it's constantly going into this, inline tank. It's 10 megapascals only, right? And if you look on it, it's, the 36%, it's oxygen, and just tick down slightly. That's how much the oxygen is being saved by this IC chip, right? If you will be doing this manually, even you do this, slower, this will be closer to 40-50%. If you don't do it, this is 80-90%. Like if I wouldn't be doing this filtering on and off, I will be a long time gone,
Hydration critical.
with my oxygen supply. So this is why you should do it, right? This is how much is still in the tank, right? If I'm gonna refill my tank,
Air tank critical.
it's still 5 megapascals. This tank is still 5 megapascals. We are on a day, I have disabled the portrait view, so I don't know exactly what day it is, but you can, I think, type press to pop up console, and 23 days passed. 22 without dying, because the first day is actually not correctly calculated. It's 22 days. If you start the game, you will see that first day passed with, already. No, I didn't die. If I would die, I will be long time restarting the save. And no, that's not why we built the base from scratch again. Hey, this is almost empty. Great. By almost, I mean there is still 1/3 of a liter, and that's first tank. We didn't start even using the tank in the back. Right, so we're gonna go. Is there a storm? No. We're gonna go and do that room now. I'm gonna turn this off. I'm gonna swap you. Right. Okay. No storm warning. Actually, I think more important at now is working on this cooling. I'm gonna put it on this side. Over here. There it is. In later, I'm gonna like put more of the klaxons speakers around lights. But yeah, I'm gonna just blip it once or twice, and so the networks are refreshed. We want to read from this AC unit. So it's the AC code 3 is the last one in line, right? Many times I put that chip over there so I remember which one it is, but that's absolutely fine. AC code 3. Click. And hopefully we are fine. I could put this like output status over here, but this should be fine. In fact, if I open it, it's gonna try to keep working because the chip is actually constantly forcing them to be operational, right? So now I'm losing ability to temporarily pause this, but I'm absolutely fine with this. So this is minus 107 centigrade. This is 14 centigrade. And look, the pressure is 213. This is 213. So, sorry. Here is right, 214, 2 megapascals, right? I was looking at the same pipe segments, right? To 6. So obviously this is because it's kind of like condensed. But what I want to show you is this is 2.7 and it has 90 almost mole with that temperature. This pipe segment is much smaller, it's half only of it, but it's 2.7 and it's 180 moles, right? This is half the length of that one, right? So this is why I was mentioning this will be having more thermal capacity due to the fact we'll be having, this ability of more moles. Right now, I'm gonna do and just press this one, and this now suddenly will be working much harder to cool it down because this temperature obviously jumps in because the pressure now will be pushed from the beginning. This filter is still 73%. I don't have any ability to control it. If the filter is run out, it will be still trying to operate, so we need to be conscious about this. But yeah, that's one thing. Now, second thing what we want to do, or I want to do, is is prepare for our IC. Now, obviously we cannot see anything, but what will be happening, here will be an airlock. We're gonna walk in, and over here I'm gonna have those two filtering units. Yes, two. I carry only one. Here will be one that will be for CO2, and here will be second one that will be for O2. Now the CO2 will be pretty much piped externally, so I'm gonna just drop those two pipes over here, and the third pipe it's here, and this is our input filter, right? Sorry, filter input part of a pipe. Um, just because, right? So we know this is our CO2. By the way, yes, those are original filters. So here will be a pipe going for pretty much all of the room. There will be like a network of vents and so on. And over here, we're gonna get another filtration unit that will be filtering oxygen from this room and then pushing it over here. So this is more or less why I have those separated by one. I hope this closed correctly, but I see them being fine. By one additional frame. We will be having pretty much on the ledge over here additional pipes. That's gonna be pretty much something like this. Right, I'm not gonna be building it down because it will be like much later process. Uh, so that that filtration that will be filtering oxygen out from our room, we'll be pushing this oxygen over here. Obviously, it will be room temperature, and this will be tuning it down to whatever we desire. Right? It will be built as we go later on. Right now, how I want this, and this is a little bit, as you want. So I will be putting a window over here, just because I'd like to see, a little bit of the external world over here. And I'm using tin. That doesn't matter. They fit slightly better. I'm gonna use wall tin on back over here. There will be some pipes coming over there. Um, I'm gonna put another pipe, another two of non-window in this side. Those frames will be gone. There will be like kind of nook over here. So what I'm gonna do is window here. I'm gonna put windows all over this side. Um, with exception of actually that one. And that's the reason I actually will be having probably a locker on this side and so on. I would like could enter over here and not see this, right? Obviously, we build that with them with the steel. Actually, this might be not steel. This might be plastic for some reason. But yeah, we're gonna do this, slowly. Right. Um, gonna do here another window and here another tin wall. And here also we're gonna do wall, extra frame. Right, what is pallet wall? 4 plastic sheets. So actually, it is funny, the wall is plastic sheets while the window is requiring steel. We're gonna grab the plastic sheets in a second and we're gonna finish this. You can close those. They're not gonna get damaged at any nothing will happen to them. So we're gonna close all of them except the one that we'll be actually using to get in. I make a mistake. That's fine. We're gonna breach from inside, so it's Now this is enclosed room, so it's much quicker. The reason I cannot breach is I have my oxygen recycle vent turned on. If I'm gonna breach, I'm gonna put pollutants into it. A bit small one, but I don't want it. I meant to turn it off. So what I'm gonna do is the other way around. We're gonna breach it from inside, which is fine. It's absolutely fine. Right, so I'm gonna just close this door for a second. I'm gonna not empty tank. I'm just gonna go to get a sip of water. Fill up your meters.
Pressure critical. Oxygen critical.
At least a bit, because when you're gonna do it?
Pressure critical. Oxygen critical.
Second can. Obviously, there is more space to be vented, and the venting will be happening through the vent in the airlock, and that's pretty much the whole core reason I didn't build that airlock fully. I can manually operate it, so I can actually, suck the air out. So now adding additional vent and all of that, and some weird shenanigans. Now we can start preparing for a few things. So we need door, because we'll be building the airlock. 2 please. And we also need some things over here like vents. Let's just start from I think we have no ability to do those right now. That's fine. No, that's enough. Do we have any gold? There's 2 gold. I'd like more. Let's spend 1 more. Okay. Still trying to vent the remainder of the. So I'm gonna take this and those 2, put over here, and I'm gonna ignore the remainder of a atmosphere. This needs to be turned off. This is our oxygen CO2 that we're gonna recycle. As you can see, there's still plenty, and we'll be doing our oxygen in a second. And this is now trying to vent, but let's just breach. I hope I closed that window over there. Sorry, wrong tool. To the unknown. Right. And straight off the bat, this one, this one, this one, and most likely this one. And you. Right. So our airlock will be here, and we're gonna use just classic glass doors. We can't because this cable actually is our problem. The glass doors, composite doors will be fine over here. Glass doors, I think only can go in the upper corners. That's absolutely fine. The reason is this is fine. All of this will be moved I mentioned at the beginning, this is like sort of temporary, right? So here is one glass door and there is another one. Now, keep in mind, I will need to put some things in and out, especially this power cable. So let me just quickly check. Can I have it over here before I'm... Yes. So I can have, because I don't remember, oops, I don't remember what I can, what I cannot. Okay, I can close this. If I have a pipe straight going this, I think I also can. But if I have one over here, I still can. Perfect. So the reason I'm actually checking that is, well, I could use over there. I will be having, excuse me, two pipes going from that room over here to airlock, so I can actually refill my tanks on the go. But for now, let's just put those doors. I mean, you know, all that tag is gonna work. What's wrong with me? What's the story? This also needs to go. Yeah, and keep in mind, this now is classified as separate room. So I told you the sensor over there, it sees this as one big room right now, but not this section. If I'm gonna put walls over there, which I'm gonna do later on, after this room is fully vented, you know, this will be obviously separate room. We're gonna put lights and the same automation over here later on. I'm building inside a little bit of maintenance cabling and so on, and I found a trader, and the trader might have what we need, which is yes, yes.
Hydration critical.